Fellow Nigerians, we are aware that the problems of Nigeria ought to be solved by Nigerians. But when some problems are beyond us, it is proper for us to call on the international community because we are members of 90 international communities and we pay our dues. I have in my hands a letter which we have written to the international community in respect of the current situation in Nigeria. I wish to read the letter to you. Auntie Johanna Irene, the Presidency of the Council of the European Union, Brussels, Belgium. Ketil Carlson, Ambassador of the European Union in Nigeria. Michelle Bachelet, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Geneva, Switzerland. Beth Mary Leonard, Ambassador of the Embassy of the United States of America, Abuja, Nigeria. Katrina Leng, British High Commissioner to Nigeria. Your Excellencies, I am writing to you on behalf of the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria, made up of Nigerians in diaspora, established in 40 countries, under the auspices of the Nelson M. Human Rights Association, Hungary. Our job is simple. We promote democracy and security in Nigeria, and we are non-partisan. It is no longer news that our country, Nigeria, is passing through the worst time in our history since 1967, when we fought the Civil War. Today, it is on record that over 25,700 Nigerians have died in the first regime of the sitting president, retired General Muhammadu Buhari. It is even more pathetic that the abuse of the rights of Nigerians have been institutionalized, as Nigerians have been killed for protesting, while others have been detained for criticizing the current misrule. This has become easy for government because, sadly, the three tiers of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, are currently in the hands of one man, manipulated and teleguided against the rule of law. Our system have been hijacked and masterminded by a president whose controversial election was condemned by the international community. It is quite unfortunate that though you meant well, most of the grants and loans you give to Nigeria have been consciously diverted by government to suppress the rights of the people and congest our prisons through arbitrary arrest. We are aware, for example, that in March 2019, the European Union committed 98 million euro to support justice and other sectors in Nigeria. Today, the harvest of injustice is choking the essence of our democracy, when freedom of expression in all its forms is supposed to be the very essence of democracy. In a government that is currently borrowing to fund our entire budget, it was appalling to hear from the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, that it cost Nigeria 3.5 million naira monthly to feed one political detainee like El Zakzaki, who has been in detention since December 2015, despite the order of various courts to release him. The purported amount of his monthly feeding is around 7,700 euro. This is the salary of some 6 citizens of the United States of America and the European Union for a month. Monthly salary to feed one person in 1 month. If such an amount is spent on other political detainees like Omoyele Sowore, Olawale Bakare, and others, you could easily understand why our national budget for capital investment is far less than budget for recurrent expenditure. We are not developing as a people because our government is investing on the abuse of human rights. Journalist Agba Jalingo has been in detention since August 2019 for exposing an alleged graft by the government of Cross River State. Other journalists are in hiding for publishing facts that hurt. As a way to further suppress the truth, clear evidences abound where the government of Nigeria paid protesters to demonstrate against human rights observers, especially the Amnesty International. Among others, we specially bring before you the case of Omoyele Sowore, a pro-democracy activist and a former presidential candidate in the previous sham election of 2019. He was abducted by the state security services in the wee hours of 3rd August 2019 because he called for a peaceful protest as a way of causing a revolution against the many economic and social injustice that continue to pervade our political space. Honorable Justice Taiwo granted him an unconditional bail after 45 days of unlawful detention, but the state security services bluntly refused to comply with the court orders by way of insidious manipulation of the court process. The government of Nigeria, for reasons best known to them, transferred the case from Justice Taiwo to Honorable Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu, who later ordered for the release of Sowore and Bakare after the fulfillment of their outrageous bail conditions. As at the time of writing to you, the Nigerian State Security Services, superintended by Yusuf Magaji Bichi, continue to hold Sowore and Bakare in detention against the order of the court. Other Nigerians like Sambo Dansuki have been in detention since December 2015, despite several court orders, including that of the ECOWAS court, that he should be released. Omoyele Sowore is currently on hunger strike, and we are deeply afraid that this may lead to avoidable tragedy. His family is very anxious in the United States of America, where Sowore resides. Please recall that Moshood Abiola, the acclaimed winner of the 1993 presidential election of Nigeria, mysteriously died in such circumstances when he was detained during the military era. We must avoid the repetition of this tragedy in the government of a president that previously ruled by decrees during his military era. Several false allegations have been spewed by the security agency, who initially claimed that Sowore received millions in dollars to overthrow this government in Dubai. They also gave the ridiculous impression that since they received court orders for the release of Sowore and Bakare, nobody had physically come forward to receive the detainees. It is an unfortunate irony that this is the same government you regularly host as special guests in your various countries. We are aware that Nigerians are in a position to solve their problems, but we also remember vividly that it was a long silence and the delay by the international community that led to the Rwanda genocide in 1994. We are writing to you because we belong to various international organizations with you. As members of various international bodies with you, we ask you, for how long will you continue to remain silent and watch innocent Nigerians die and unlawfully detained while our judiciary is being raped in broad day? The abuse of the rule of law is very contrary to international accepted norms. Article 9 of the 1948 United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights prohibits the arbitrary deprivation of individual liberty. It decrees no one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights also specifies the protection from arbitrary arrest and detention. In the light of the above, we respectfully request as follows. 1. That you should kindly use your good and respected offices to urgently intervene by requesting that the government of Nigeria should quickly respect the rule of law by releasing all political detainees, especially Omoyele Sowore, Olawale Bakare, and all those whose release have been ordered by the court. 2. Seriously consider travel ban on all Nigerian state governors, ministers, and all federal legislators, state governors, and their families for promoting and compromising the abuse of the rule of law. State governors has been re-emphasized because they have an association that understands the pulse of our country, but they have consciously refused to act because they share a common goal, the goal of repression. We are aware that their compromises are based on the fact that many of them have huge corruption cases being secretly negotiated with the government of Nigeria. 3. Put an end to all forms of lending and grants to the Nigerian government, as such resources are being used for buying the bullets that kill unarmed protesters and the congestions of our prisons. Over 1,000 Shiite Muslims have been killed for protesting the continued detention of their leader against the court orders to release him. Help. Help. Our country is drenched in blood. We are not ashamed to ask you for help. There is no gainsaying that security in Nigeria equally guarantees the security of your offices and investments in Nigeria. Please be informed that a YouTube broadcast of this letter has been released by us, and we have also published them. That is this letter in some Nigerian newspapers as further evidences that we signaled you as the citizens of Nigeria continue to suffer the dictatorship, attack on our freedom, and untold oppression. Our people are living in utter penury. We trust in your unflinching support. Yours sincerely, Frederick Omoyemodorige, Global Coordinator. Please be informed that this letter has been copied to the following offices: the National Human Rights Commission, Abuja, Nigeria, Amnesty International, and other media organizations. Thank you.